We are told to honor our ancestors, to remember their sacrifices, to pour libations, to keep their memory alive. But what if their memory is a hungry thing? What if the very act of remembrance wakes something up? This is not a story about a tree. This is a warning about the debts of the dead, and the terrible interest that the living must pay. In the village of Kwa Moyo, there lived a man named Bomani. Bomani was a good man, a hard-working farmer, but he was plagued by a deep shame. His family line was fading. His crops were meager. He felt he was a disappointment to the spirits of his fathers. He was haunted by the feeling that he had lost their favor. Driven by desperation, he went to the oldest elder in the village, a blind woman named Neka who could still see into the world of spirits. "How do I regain the favor of my ancestors?" he begged her. Neka listened to the wind for a long time before she spoke. "Neka, voice raspy and thin, you must plant a seed of remembrance. A tree. But listen carefully, Bomani. You must plant it with a pure heart. You must ask for guidance, not for wealth. You must want their wisdom, not their power. For a tree fed by ambition bears a bitter harvest." The tree grew with an unnatural speed. Overnight, it was a sapling. In a week, it was as tall as a man. Its bark was dark and intricately patterned, like braided muscle. Its leaves were a deep, unsettling purple. The village was in awe. And then, the blessings began. But the blessings had a taste. A metallic taste. The water from Bomani's well began to taste faintly of iron. The milk from his goats had a coppery tang. His wife, Zola, was the first to notice. She dreamed of the tree, its roots digging deep, not into the earth, but into something darker. Something that pulsed. The first fruit fell. It split open on the ground. It was not filled with pulp and seeds. It was filled with a thick, coagulated liquid the color of old blood, and a smell that made the stomach turn. Bomani's young son, Jabari, found it. That night, the boy fell into a fever, muttering about thirsty roots and the man in the tree. "I told you. You planted with a selfish heart. You did not plant a seed of remembrance. You planted a seed of debt. The ancestors you called upon are not the gentle spirits of your grandfathers. You have woken the old ones, the ones who demanded sacrifice. The tree is not a gift. It is a demand. And it is hungry," Neka said. The tree was not bearing fruit. It was bearing offerings. Repayments for the blessings it had given. And it was collecting them from the very ancestors Bomani had sought to honor. It was tearing them from their rest and presenting the pieces to the living. The bloody fruit was not a symbol. It was a bill. A silence, thick and heavy as a shroud, fell over the compound. The tree seemed to be watching them, its branches poised. The other fruits pulsed gently, like distant heartbeats. Zola began to weep, a low, hopeless sound. Their son's feverish mumblings now made a terrible sense. The tree was not just collecting from the dead. It was a bridge, and it was pulling the past into the present, turning memory into nightmare. And then, the tree screamed. It was not a sound of the wind, but a high, piercing wail that seemed to come from a dozen throats at once, the voices of his ancestors, twisted in agony. The very ground beneath their feet trembled. From the cut he had made, a hand, pale, spectral, and formed entirely of that bloody sap, shot out and grabbed his wrist. The grip was icy and solid. That night, the tree's hunger became undeniable. Bomani's own blessings began to curdle. The lush crops in his field withered in the moonlight, turning black and brittle. One of his prized goats was found dead in its pen, its body completely drained of blood, though there was not a single wound on it. The tree was reclaiming its payment, with interest. Bomani, a broken man, returned to Neka. He fell to his knees before her. Bomani said, "It is killing them. It is tearing them apart. How do I stop it? I will do anything." Neka replied, "The tree is fed by a selfish prayer. It cannot be killed by a blade, for it is rooted in your own spirit. To uproot it, you must sever its nourishment. You must renounce every blessing it gave you. Every coin. Every bushel of grain. You must offer it a sacrifice of equal value, but of pure intention." Bomani asked, "What sacrifice? I have nothing left." Neka, her blind eyes seeming to see right through him, "You asked for a legacy. You asked for your line to be remembered. The tree is a literal thing, Bomani. It will grant your wish in the most direct way it knows. To stop it, you must offer it the very thing you sought to preserve. You must be willing to end your line. You must offer it your heir," she replied. The choice was an abomination. To save the souls of his ancestors from eternal dismemberment, he would have to condemn his own son, the future of his bloodline. To preserve the past, he must sacrifice the future. The tree had him trapped in a cycle of his own making, a nightmare of his own desires. "Jabari, voice a thin whisper the men and women in the tree. They are crying, Papa. They say only the new seed can quiet the old roots." The choice was an abomination. But in that moment, surrounded by the ghosts of his greed, Bomani finally understood Neka's warning. A pure heart. That was the key he had ignored. He could not make another selfish choice, not even to save his ancestors. To break the cycle, he had to offer something of true, selfless value. He had to offer the one thing the tree did not already own, his own life, freely given. Bomani, whispering, his voice thick with tears but clear with purpose, "I am the root of this evil. I am the seed. The debt is mine to pay." Bomani, speaking clearly, his voice carrying a new strength, "I renounce it. I renounce every blessing you gave. The wealth, the crops, the legacy. It is all ash in my mouth. You want a sacrifice? You want a life to settle the debt? Then take the life of the one who planted you with a selfish heart. Take me. But you will release my son. You will let my ancestors rest. This ends now." It was not a rejection. It was an acceptance. The tree, a creature of literal interpretation, understood a life for a life. But it would not make it clean. It would not make it quick. The bark against his skin felt like cold, dead flesh. He was pulled towards the trunk. And then, the impossible happened. The trunk opened. It did not split. It parted, like a dark, wooden mouth. And from within, Bomani saw them. Flickering, tormented faces, the faces of his ancestors, trapped in the grain of the wood, their mouths open in silent screams. Bomani was gone. The tree did not die. It remained, but it was now just a tree. Its bark was gray and lifeless, its branches bare. It stood as a stark, silent monument in the center of the compound. a monument to the cost of selfish devotion. So, dear viewers, I ask you, did Bomani redeem himself? Was his ultimate sacrifice enough to wash away the sin of his initial ambition? Or was his fate sealed the moment he planted that seed with a selfish heart? Let me know what you think in the comments below. This story is a grim reminder that our intentions are everything. A prayer for guidance is a humble request. A prayer for power is a dangerous demand. The spirits of the past are not tools for our ambition. They are memories to be respected, not servants to be commanded. And sometimes, the only way to heal a wound you have created is to fill it with your own flesh. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more morally complex tales from the Safari of Tales. Until next time, may your offerings be pure, and your heart be light. Selfish devotion is a perversion of honor. True respect for the past requires a selfless heart in the present, for the debts of ambition are always paid with the currency of the soul.